Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Horror 421, the podcast, with your host, your friendly small-town horror author, Charles Campbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the frights in this week's episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Horror 421, the podcast. I'm your host, small town horror author Charles Campbell, and today I have a special guest. I'm a big fan of ScreamTeam Releasing, and I like to check out indie horror, and they put out some of the best indie horror out there. And so I was checking their website a couple months ago, and I saw this movie called The Beast of Walton Street, and I watched it, and I was very entertained by it. So I reached out to one of the stars, Athena Murzda. She is on the show today. We want to talk about this movie. So welcome to the show, Athena.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad you are here. I thought this was a really well done film. But before we start getting into the movie, if you could give my listening audience a little background on yourself, uh, A, are you a horror fan in general? And B, how did you get into the horror genre? And just give us a little info on Athena.
Yeah, my name's Athena Murzda. I co-own Street Rat Production Studios with my wife, Dusty Austen, and we do make mostly horror films. So yeah, I would say I'm a horror fan.
Nice.
I have been watching horror since I was a teenager. I think it's really fun, and I think it's really underrated, and misunderstood by a lot of people. So, yeah, it's definitely my favorite genre so far to play around in.
Well, yeah, I'm a big horror fan. I'm 55, so I grew up as a little kid loving Evil Dead and all that stuff. If you can see the stuff behind my
I
head,
noticed.
I see what you got back there. Ginger Snaps, awesome movie. Um, well, before we get into the movie, let's dig into a little more of your horror background. When you were coming up, what drew you to horror? Tell me what some of your favorite horror films are and kind of what inspired you to be an actor.
Yeah, my favorite horror series right now is Chucky. I think that's my favorite horror series at my core. I really love the Chucky movies. I don't know why. There's something about them.
Yeah,
But yeah, Ginger Snaps is a huge one. Evil Dead is huge, although I didn't find that until I was a little bit older. A lot of the ones that I found first when I was younger were like ones my mom really introduced me to horror. So
nice.
like the 80s horror. So it was lots of Five Nights at Freddy's, Child's Play,
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, that kind of stuff. Um, Acting kind of just happened for me. I don't really know how to explain that. My sister and I did a lot of like any kid like playing with dolls and stuff, and I used to like recreate scenes from different movies and stuff with my dolls. So I guess that's where it started. But I didn't really think I was that. I never thought that was something that I would be into or that I would do. I didn't even take theater in high school. But I started acting for The Haunted World of CW, which is the web series that actually informed the movie The Beast of Bolton Street.
Nice.
And ended up being really good at it and really liking it. So now here I am.
Well, you did a great job in the film, and we'll get into the film. I promise. Um, but who are some of your influences? I mean, I want to talk about Dusty too. It was written and directed by Dusty Austen, and I did a little looked up her bio a little bit. And tell me how you got hooked, paired with Dusty. And I know you said she's your wife, but how did you two meet, and what got this ball rolling for this film?
Yeah, so years and years ago, Dusty had written a script for a movie called The Haunted World of Claire Williamson, and that didn't end up becoming a film, but she kind of adjusted it and reworked it to be able to make it as a web series.
Nice.
So that's the web series that's on YouTube. It's now called The Haunted World of CW. And it ran from like 2013 to 2019 or 2020. I don't remember which year. Um, and that's where Constance Wowenson came from, the lead in The Beast of Walton Street. And when so originally it was Claire Wilmanson that was the lead of that web series, and her actress just kind of was ready to retire and do other stuff. So I came on as Constance Wilmanson to take over for that show, and that's how we met. Is I got cast in that, and from there we just hit it off because we're into the same stuff.
Same stuff. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
uh, like I said, I promise we're getting into the movie and we're going to start that now. So I did watch this film. And guys, if you're into indie horror, you can go to Scream Team Releasing. I bought several of their movies. I've got a whole little section of Scream Team Releasing movies. I've had a couple of folks from those films on this podcast, and I'm glad Athena joined us today. But you can go pick it up. It's a crazy, tight little werewolf horror film, and I'm not giving anything away. It's got werewolves on the cover, so uh, it's a pretty cool film, and it centers around two characters, Sketch and Constance, and they're kind of down on their luck a little bit, and they're living out of the back of an auto shop. It looks like when I watch the film, and just some crazy shit happens. So, Athena, yeah, can you kind of give us an overview of the film? I know I kind of did, but we don't want to have spoilers because I want you to go buy this and watch it. But kind of give us a generic overview of the film and what led you into this role. I mean, you did a great job in this film. I just want to shout that out. You did a super job.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so The Beast of Walton Street follows Constance Wilmanson and Sketch, whose real name is Percy Williams. And they're just two friends who are also homeless
Yep.
and just yeah, they're living out of a garage. You're correct. It is a garage. So they're together living out of that garage, and then yeah, they have to
Lots of cats. Lots of
yeah,
cats.
there's lots of cats. Um but yeah, so people start dying around the city that they live in. A lot of the homeless population is being particularly targeted. And so Constance decides that they should make a stand and make it their mission to die, if they're going to die fighting a werewolf rather than just being homeless and sick.
Yeah.
And so that's what they do. They go on a quest to find and murder this werewolf.
Well, I did get a chance to watch the behind the scenes stuff yet. I definitely am going to check that out. Uh, what were some of the challenges in creating this film? It looks like you guys were super physical. You had to do a lot of physical stunts, and it looked like you did a lot of your own stuff. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like you did a lot of your own stuff. So, what were some of the challenges you and Mia faced and Mia Jones is her co-star uh,
Yes.
in the film. So, what were some of the physical challenges you two faced in filming this?
Yeah, we did all of our own stunts. There weren't any stunt people or anything like that. There's not too many stunts, honestly, that we had to do, but there was a lot of running.
Yeah.
Honestly, the worst part, well, not the worst, the most challenging part of filming the movie was the cold. We shot it in Ohio
Ooh,
in the middle of November.
nice.
So it was absolutely freezing. It was really, really cold. And we have on like layers and layers and layers under our costumes to try and keep warm. And every day on set, there was some place that was like the designated space heater was at, where you would like you would call that and then just run to it and like huddle. So
Well, you and Mia seem to have a really good chemistry. So, what went through that casting process? How did you two come together? Are you two guys friends in real life? Um, but it seems like you are. I mean, you guys played off each other really, really well. So, I thought, I loved her. I thought she was awesome.
yeah,
Um,
Mia's amazing. She's yeah, she's amazing. She does art now. I think she kind of moved away from the acting a little bit. But she had acted on a movie that Dusty had worked on previous to The Beast of Walton Street. So Dusty knew her, but I did not. And that's how she got cast as Sketch. And so that movie, when we got on set to act together, was the first time that we'd ever met each other. But she's an amazing person. She's so much fun, and she's a really talented actress as well. So it
yeah.
was really easy to immediately snap into being her best friend.
Well, it seems like you guys knew each other, all your lives when you're watching. I guess that's what actors are supposed to do, make you believe, right?
It's good. Yes.
But I thought she did a fantastic job. I don't want to give too much away with sketches. character, but yeah, I felt for her a little bit a couple times.
She's the heartthrob of the
Uh,
movie, for
oh,
sure.
oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But you were pretty badass and tough. So, and you're talking about running in some of those scenes. Um, how did you like the physicality? I mean, you had to do a few, physical things like jump in a dumpster and
That's
play
true.
around in that stuff. So, how was that for you?
I forgot about the dumpster. I used to be a gymnast, and I also did martial arts for
Nice.
most of my high school years. So, I'm pretty used to being able to kind of throw my body around a little bit. So it was fine for me. It wasn't a super big challenge. It's funny that I had to run so much in the movie because I actually hate the way that my run looks. I despise it.
Well, it's not like
Um,
Steven Seagal. Have you ever seen him run? Go watch Steven Seagal run, and you'll be all right.
I'll Google it, then I'll feel better about myself.
Oh, geez.
Um, but yeah, the dumpster was fun. Because it was literally built. We built that dumpster. We didn't rent a dumpster or anything. It's built out of wood, even though it looks like it's metal.
Yeah.
And it was literally built to be just tall enough that I couldn't get out of it because that was the purpose of the scene in the film is that I can't get out on my own. So that was that was fun to stand in there and like know that it was built specifically to my height specifications.
Nice, nice. And I won't give too much away about the dumpster scene, but it got kind of messy. That looked kind of icky in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it away.
Okay,
It's
okay.
bloody. It's filled with blood. And it was that was definitely the worst day. I would take filming in the cold over filming in that blood again.
What what was that stuff? Was it like syrupy stuff? Was it sticky? It looked kind of
It
nasty
was
to me.
it was everything we had in our garage. That's what it was. It was mostly fake blood,
Yeah.
because we intended to fill it with fake blood as much as we could. But once that fake blood ran out, and we still had more, and we were like, there should be more in here. Um, Literally everybody on set just started trying to find anything that wasn't going to hurt me to add into the pile to fill it up more. So
Nice.
it's water, it's old blood that we had stored, it's sludge that we had made for previous like stuff that we'd done. Um, yeah, it's a lot of stuff in there. It was gross. And it wasn't bad at first, but once the blood gets cold, it stops being warm. That it
Uh,
just terrible.
yeah, it looked nasty. I like your little co-star there. I have a beagle laying on the bed right over here. So,
Yeah, sorry.
uh,
Damn. Here, come here.
I've
Come
got
here.
I've
Make
got
it.
a beagle named Miller. What's your dog's name?
His name's Sam.
Sam.
It's actually named after Sam Raimi.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, my son brought this beagle home about 3 years ago, and it became my dog immediately. And it was already named Miller, and I'm sure it was after the beer. So, but he's a sweetheart too. He's over there napping right now. Well, uh, I thought you did a really great job in this film. Uh, uh, have you worked on anything else? You look like you've been acting for a while, so I don't know what your career path has been so far. So if you could kind of fill my audience in on maybe some of the things you've done and some of the things you may be working on or what may be coming out later, we're very interested. I'd like to see more of you.
Yeah. Previous to The Beast of Walton Street, the only thing that I'd done was The Haunted World of CW, which is our web series. That was what introduced me to acting, and that's where I found my voice as an actress. You can literally, when I come in, because I start on that show in season 5, and when I come in, like, I don't like watching that season because it's very clearly like my intro to
Right.
acting. But by the end of it, like I'm much more confident, and it's really kind of interesting to be able to look at that and see my progression literally as an actor right there in front of me. Um, but pre after that, I we just made a movie called Fiberburn. Um, and that movie I also act in. I'm not the lead in that one, but I am in that one. And then we're gonna be making a movie next called What's Wrong, Wendy, and that starts production in July of this year. So
Yeah, I saw a little blurb about that. That looked interesting. I saw a little piece about that online. Definitely want to check that out. Um, I'm a big fan of Scream Team Releasing, and I don't know how much you're involved directly with Scream Team Releasing, but it, if you can kind of give me your take on how you guys got involved with that group. Like I said, I've interviewed some folks that have been involved with Scream Team, and I think they do a fantastic job with putting indie horror out there for folks to consume. I'm a big fan of indie horror and mainstream horror, just horror in general, but I love the platform that they have and the movies that they put out. So, how has your involvement been with Scream Team?
It's been wonderful. We played the Beast of Walton Street at Nightmares Film Fest in 2023, and we won Best Ohio Feature. And
Nice.
from there was when we kind of got in touch with different people that were interested in the film. And Scream Team was one of those distributors that reached out to us, and we really loved just we really loved the fact that they did physical media.
Hmm.
Nobody really does that anymore. It's just like a lot of people really just want to poop things onto streaming.
Yep.
So yeah, the physical media is really what got us, and they've been wonderful. And they've offered us like we got to do all kinds of special features for the disc. The disc has like custom menus that we made with Constance hosting them and stuff. And they've just been really great. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because when I popped it in, you were talking about, oh, well, you got to press play on the VHS player. And I said, I don't have a VHS, it's a Blu-ray. But is this also available on VHS?
I wish.
Also, Scream
Hilarious.
Team put some of that stuff out, I think, on VHS, but or maybe they don't. Maybe I'm thinking of another company. But yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I love the way that you guys put that together, and I'm anxious to watch the behind the scenes. I actually wished I would have watched them before I talked to you today. Just didn't do it. Damn it. But it looks pretty interesting for sure. Um, what would your dream project be? What kind of movie would you like to star in? And I ask this a lot of musicians, but I'm going to ask you the same kind of question. Living or dead, what actor or actress would you love to work with in a horror film or any kind of film? What would be your dream job?
Um, I feel like the actresses I would like to work with are definitely living.
Oh no,
It's
that's good.
you know, Jenna Ortega would be awesome.
Yeah,
Sophie Turner is one of my favorite actresses at the moment. I love her so much. Um,
Sansa, right?
Anya Taylor-Joy. But
Oh, dude, yeah, I freaking love her. The
yeah.
Witch, The Witch. Oh, love that movie.
Um, but yeah, aside from that, I don't I don't really know.
Well, you're doing great with the horror films, but is there any, other genre you might want to try? Anything, in your future that you may want to test the waters in? I mean, are you interested in drama, comedy, that kind of thing, or are you like just focused on horror?
Comedy is really fun. Comedy is a really fun one to play with. The Haunted World of CW series that I did, it is horror. It's also kind of funny. It is definitely a horror comedy series. And so yeah, I think horror and comedy go well together. And I really like those two mediums. Um, Branching out into dramas and stuff would be amazing. Action movies are really cool. Actually, doing an action movie would be wonderful.
I could see you in an action movie for real. Seriously, I think from what I've seen in this one film I've seen you in, you seem like you're really versatile, and you could probably run the gambit of roles. To be honest, you got a fan in me anyway, for sure. Um,
That's good.
and my listening audience, make sure you pick it up. Go to screamteamreleasing.com. Um, so you talked a little bit about some of the horror movies and influences that you like. Do you have one horror film or novel? I don't know if you're a reader or not. I'm a horror writer, but are there any writers that you gravitate towards? Do you read horror novels? Do you read in general? And if so, what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I used to read a lot when I was a kid. So I've gotten a little bit away from it just because of the busyness of adult life, and I've
Hmm.
been trying to get back into it over the past couple years. But Stephen King was a huge influence for me. I've read a lot of Stephen King novels. That's really interesting that you're a writer. I would love to. I'll have to look up some of the stuff that you've done. Um, but yeah, Stephen King's a big one. And also books like Battle Royale. That one's really good.
Yeah.
And then I read one recently that was kind of more of a mystery one that's called Dead of Winter. That's like it's a horror, but it's kind of like a whodunit kind of thing. And that one was amazing as well.
Yeah, I've written one who done it. It's called Midnight Rider, and it came out a couple of years ago. No one's lied on Amazon and said they've guessed the killer, so it's everyone's been surprised so far. But I'm going to write Dead of Winter down. I like to read a good who done it. Who's the author of that?
I think it's Darcy Coates. Let me see.
Okay. I'll check it out. D
Yes, Darcy Coates.
Darcy Coates. And do you have an all-time favorite horror film that scared the shit out of you that still disturbs you and you can't you like to watch it but you don't like to watch it? I've got a couple of those. I'm always interested in that if people are really scared of a particular film they've seen in the past.
Yeah, those ones are, that's really hard question to think of one that actually scares me. I have so many favorite horror films that I could pick from, but there are very few that genuinely actually scaring me anymore. I feel like I'm really desensitized
Oh
to all.
yeah, I am too.
Um,
Um,
I will say Evil Dead 2013 is a really good one. Yeah. The moment when she cuts her tongue in half, I cringe every time, no matter how many times I've seen it. Also, like anything with nail guns in them. So there's which one is it? I think it's the third Final Destination movie, that has the nail gun in it.
oh, they had one in Evil Dead 2013 too. That shit
Yeah, I
was
know.
gnarly.
I It makes me cringe every time. I will watch it because I love that movie, but
Yeah.
that is one that I will never, like, so far I've seen it a million times and it still gets me every time.
Oh geez. Yeah, that's nail guns are bad. Evil Dead 2013 when she came out, this was just I mean, she wouldn't stop shooting him with the thing and it kept going in his arm. And I was like, oh, stop, stop. But yeah, that Evil Dead 2013 is one of my favorite films too, for sure. And I'm an OG guy. Like I said, I'm 55, so I was around when the originals came out and watched them on VHS at my dad's house at 1 o'clock in the morning when I was a kid. Scared the shit out of me when I was a little boy, and that kind of stuck with me. So I'm a big Evil Dead fan too. Did you watch the series they had, Ash versus Evil Dead?
I started it, I haven't finished it
I'm in
yet,
the same
but
boat,
I
and
did
I
finish.
hate to admit that. I started it and didn't finish it either. I do have the DVDs though. I'll check them out one day when I get time.
One day.
One day, one day. Well, Athena, is there anything you want to we're definitely talking about the beast of Walton Street, and we've kind of given the audience a good overview of what it is. But is there anything you want to plug or put out there where people can find you, where we can find out more about you and maybe what's coming in the future, and or like you talked about what you've already done in the past? I'm going to put links below so everyone can click on it and find your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram is just at Athena Murzda, and then Street Rats Instagram is at Street Rat Studios. So definitely follow us on Instagram. That's where we post about most of our stuff. Our next movies coming out to look for are Fiber Burn, which is a sci-fi horror about this drug-addled woman who ends up having to fight for her life against a robot. So
Nice.
that one, it's very ambitious. It's going to be really good. It stars Spooky Madison, Fiberburn, and then What's Wrong, Wendy is the next one, which was written by Spooky. And that one's going to be starting production in June. I think
Nice.
it was July before, but it's actually June.
Cool, cool. Well, I'll make sure I put links down below for sure. And before we end the podcast, I do want to ask one more question about the Beast of Walton Street. I know Dusty wrote and directed this film, um, and she's not on the podcast, but I'm curious as to the process that she underwent putting this script together. And then what was your reaction when you first saw the script? What did you think when it was handed to you and you were like, "Oh, okay." Uh, just I'm always interested in the creative process. So, what do you know about what went into writing this script?
I know that Dusty is obsessed with werewolves. And she's very disappointed that there's no good werewolf films out anymore. It was kind of like American Werewolf in London, Ginger Snaps, and then like nothing. There's a couple good ones and then nothing. So she really wanted to make a good werewolf film. And we also wanted to do one that was a practical suit, that didn't look silly.
Oh, it
So
looked really good. It looked really good. Uh,
my my mom, Raina Murzda, actually built that suit from scratch. So
wow. Was there one suit or two suits?
there were two, because there's two. Well, actually, I can't say that. Um, yeah, there's two suits. And she built the suits, and then Dusty did the faces for them, the masks. But yeah, I know Dusty's really obsessed with werewolves. And she's just good at writing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always love to pick writers' brains on their creative process. Whenever I have writers or script writers on the podcast, so I thought I'd get your view of it. Now, one other thing this DVD came with, and I don't know if they all come with this, but I got this cool poster.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was also signed. I think your signature's on here. Yeah, there you are. Look at there. Athena signed these for you. I think we have Mia on here too, maybe. Yeah. And I'm not sure who this is. It's got a star with POO something, maybe.
Uh, oh, that one's Aaron Pagnano.
Okay,
He's,
cool.
yeah, they're the DP.
And Dusty's on here. I mean, it's like, all the major people signed this poster. So it's a cool looking poster. I just need to frame it. I've got so much shit on my walls right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, But Athena, I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. I'm looking forward to what you guys have coming out. I'll definitely put links below where they can follow you. Another shout out to ScreamTeam Releasing. I love them because they support indie horror, and like you said, they release physical media, which I love that. I love that. Not everything has to be on streaming. If your internet goes out, you can pop in a DVD. So, um, thank you again for being on the program today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I am Charles Campbell. I'm your small town horror author. My latest release is called Signature Cut Above. It's about a batshit crazy beautician where she goes to work with those scissors, but not in a good way. You can find that at valleyboypublications.com. You can follow me. You'll find all the links there at valleyboypublications.com. I'll put links below so you can find my stuff. And we'll see you again on the next episode of Horror 421, the podcast. Thanks again, Athena. You were lovely. And you guys have a good rest of your day, week, whatever you got.